A grieving single father, a Chicago house shaking in the wind, a 7-year-old fighting to breathe. What Ethan discovered in that frozen early morning wasn't just a system failure, it was the moment someone waited for him to quit before pulling the trigger. It was a calculated plan to erase evidence, sabotage a billion-dollar merger, and leave one perfect scapegoat: him. A plan that would have worked if the CEO hadn't shown up at his door with an accusation and found a child nearly dying at the top of the stairs. This is the story of how one choice, save a life or save a company, turned into a war that could destroy them both. Chicago doesn't just get cold, it gets angry. The wind howling off Lake Michigan that night rattled the loose window frames of Ethan Parker's bungalow like a burglar trying to find a way in. Inside, Ethan sat hunched over his desk, the blue light of 3 monitors carving deep shadows into his face. His eyes were red-rimmed, burning from 48 hours of staring at scrolling lines of code. On the primary screen, a countdown clock from Northbridge Technologies was ticking down, bleeding red seconds into the room. If you believe the truth is worth more than a paycheck, and that showing up for the people you love matters more than any deadline hit, like right now. And if you're new here, subscribe for emotional, faceless stories about impossible choices, hidden betrayals, and second chances, because in 42 minutes, Ethan won't just lose a deal. He could lose his freedom. System migration window. T-minus 42 minutes. To the rest of the world, Northbridge was just another tech giant about to be acquired. To Ethan, it was a prison he had built for himself. He was the lead security architect, the man who held the keys. A chat window blinked aggressively. Victoria Hale, the CEO. Hale, status report. Now, the Asian markets open in 50 minutes. If the new identity protocol isn't live and stable, we lose the deal, Parker. Ethan stared at the cursor blinking. His hands were trembling, a fine, rhythmic tremor that made typing a battle. He turned his head to the camera feed from Mia's room. Mia, his 7-year-old reason for breathing. She was tossing in her bed under a mountain of quilts. Even through the distorted audio, he could hear the wet, rattling wheeze in her chest. She had woken up 3 times in the last hour. Daddy, my head hurts. Daddy, don't go. He had given her the last dose of fever reducer 20 minutes ago. It wasn't breaking. Hale, Parker, do not ignore me. If this migration fails, the stock drops 40% at the bell. Answer me. Ethan looked at the code. He looked at the empty medicine bottle. He looked at the photo of his wife Sarah smiling from a frame that hadn't been dusted in months. She had died while he was troubleshooting a server outage. He hadn't been there. Not again. Something snapped in Ethan's chest. A quiet final release, like a cable giving way under too much tension. He opened his email client. He clicked Compose to Victoria Hale, CEO. Subject: Resignation. I'm done. I will not choose a server over my daughter's life again. I am resigning, effective immediately. Don't call me. Don't email me. I'm out. He hit send. The sound of the mouse click seemed to echo in the silent house. Instead of silence, 20 seconds later, his workstation screamed. A priority. One alert blasted through his speakers, a piercing, dissonant siren that made him flinch. The deployment timer had vanished, replaced by a single flashing system warning that turned the entire screen blood red. Critical alert, root access compromised. Immutable logs, deleted. Compliance history, purging. Ethan stood up, his chair scraping violently against the wood floor. He hadn't touched the logs. He hadn't executed any command other than send email. But the system was wiping itself. It was scrubbing the financial history of the company. And in the digital audit trail, there was only one active user session, his. Someone had waited. Someone had watched. And the moment he quit, they had pulled the trigger on a digital bomb, framing him as the man who burned the building down on his way out. 2:14 a.m. Ethan was in the kitchen, his hands shaking as he tried to measure water into a glass. He needed to hydrate Mia, but his mind was racing. Logs deleted, compliance purge, federal exposure, prison. He spilled the water. Bam, bam, bam. The knocking on the front door wasn't a neighborly tap. It was heavy, rhythmic, authoritative. It shook the door frame. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Open up, or we breach." He walked down the hallway and yanked the door open. A blast of sub-zero air hit him first, carrying snowflakes that stung his face. Then he saw her. Victoria Hawley stood on his porch. She looked like a grim reaper in a $3,000 cashmere coat. Behind her, dominating his driveway, was a black armored SUV. The engine was running, the exhaust pluming into the gray night. A massive shadow of a man, her security detail, stood by the rear door, ready for violence. "You have exactly 10 seconds, Victoria said, her voice low, cutting under the wind. "Explain why you just nuked the company's audit trail." She stepped forward. Ethan instinctively stepped back. She crossed the threshold. "I quit," Ethan said, his voice raspy, cracking with exhaustion. "I didn't nuke anything. I sent an email." "That's it. Don't lie to me." Victoria held up a tablet showing a live feed of the Northbridge data center console. "Your account, your session token, was used to execute a deletion command 3 minutes after your resignation hit my inbox. Regulators require those logs for the merger. Without them, we're looking at regulatory and criminal exposure." She tapped the screen, showing a cascading waterfall of deletion errors. "I didn't run that script," Ethan shouted. "My account is 2FA protected. You know the architecture. I built it. The board doesn't care about architecture. They care about optics. They see a disgruntled engineer burning the house down. Legal is drafting the indictment right now. You're looking at 20 years, Ethan, unless you fix it." "Fix it? It's a wipe." "You can't fix a wipe." "Then stop it, before it hits the financial sector." From the top of the stairs, a sound cut through the shouting. It was small, weak, terrifying. "Daddy!" Ethan stopped breathing. He spun around. Mia was standing at the top of the landing, clutching her stuffed rabbit. She was pale, ghostly white, shivering violently. Even from the bottom of the stairs, Ethan could see the sweat matting her hair to her forehead. "Daddy!" "I can't breathe." The sentence ended in a gasp, a wet, sucking sound of air struggling to pass through constricted lungs. Ethan forgot Victoria. He forgot the company. He forgot the 20 years in prison. He took the stairs 2 at a time, stumbling on the top step, scrambling to her. "I've got you, monkey. I've got you." He scooped her up. Her skin was burning hot, radiating heat like a furnace, but she was trembling as if she were freezing. Victoria stood frozen in the hallway below. She watched the man who had supposedly just destroyed her company fall to his knees, clutching a sick child. She looked at the pile of unopened medical bills on the side table. She heard the sound of the girl wheezing. It was a raw, primal sound that stripped away the corporate polish in seconds. Ethan appeared at the top of the stairs again, holding Mia wrapped in a thick quilt. His eyes were wild. "I have to go," he said, rushing down past her. "I have to get her to the air. Get out of my way." "Your car won't make it," Victoria said. Her voice had changed. The command was still there, but the anger was gone. "The roads are unplowed. It's a level 3 weather emergency outside. You'll be stuck in a drift before you leave the block." Ethan stopped at the door, his hand on the knob. He looked out at the blizzard. She was right. His 10-year-old sedan wouldn't make it 10 feet. He looked back at Victoria. He hated her. He hated everything she stood for, but he was holding his dying world in his arms. "My driver is former extraction," Victoria said, motioning to the open door. "The SUV has 4-wheel independent drive and police band clearance." We can be at Lurie Children's Hospital in 12 minutes. Ethan hesitated. The deal, Victoria said, her eyes locking onto his. You get in the car, we save her. In exchange, you help me stop the bleed before the market opens. You want me to work? Now? I want you to save the company so I have the power to save you. If that stock crashes at 9 a.m., I lose my job and you lose your legal protection. We survive together, or we both drown tonight. Mia coughed, a terrible, deep sound that shook her small body. Ethan didn't answer. He just ran out into the snow toward the black car. The door of the SUV slammed shut, sealing them in a world of silence and leather. The contrast was jarring. Outside, the wind screamed. Inside, the air was warm, filtered, and smelled of sanitized wealth. Go, Victoria ordered. Code blue to Lurie's. Don't stop for red lights. Cole, the driver, didn't nod. He just shifted gears and the heavy vehicle surged forward. Mia was lying across the back seat, her head in Ethan's lap. She was drifting in and out of consciousness. Cole had passed back a portable oxygen canister. Ethan held the mask over her face, watching the condensation form and fade with each shallow breath. She's burning up, Ethan whispered. Stay with me, Mia. Just listen to Daddy's voice. Victoria sat in the rear-facing jump seat opposite them. She had opened her laptop on the fold-down tray. The blue light illuminated her face. The script is mutating, she said, her voice tight. It's not just deleting logs anymore. It's rewriting the identity access management protocols. It's locking us out of the root directory. Ethan looked up. Don't try to kill the process. It's a Hydra script. If you terminate the demon, it spawns 2 more. It's designed to react to defense. Then what do I do? Victoria's voice cracked. For the first time in 5 years, the Iron Lady sounded unsure. You have to starve it, Ethan said. He didn't let go of Mia's hand. Open the command line interface. We need to reroute the traffic to the sandbox environment. Trick it into thinking it's deleted everything. I don't have the syntax. I do, Ethan said. The car swerved violently. Mia whimpered. Ethan winced, shielding her head. Type this, Ethan commanded. Redirect to staging IP 192.168.0.55. Victoria typed, her manicured nails clicking rapidly. It's asking for a handshake validation. Bypass it. Use the legacy port. It's unsecured, but it's the only door left open. That violates every security protocol we have. Victoria hesitated. Do you want to be secure, or do you want to be online? Ethan shot back. The patient is bleeding out, Victoria. Do you argue about the sterility of the tourniquet? Victoria looked at him. Then she looked at Mia, breathing rhythmically into the oxygen mask. She hit enter. The screen flickered. The red cascade of deletion errors paused. Then, a single line of green text appeared. System stabilized. Traffic rerouted to sandbox. Victoria exhaled, a long, shaky breath. She slumped back against the seat. We bought time, she whispered. Maybe 20 minutes before it realizes it's eating dummy data. It's enough, Ethan said. The SUV screeched to a halt under the bright red awning of the emergency entrance. Before the wheels stopped rolling, Victoria had the door open. She stepped out and ran toward the sliding doors. Ethan scrambled out with Mia in his arms, the cold air hitting them again. He saw Victoria storming the intake desk. I need a pediatric triage team immediately, her voice echoed in the lobby. Respiratory distress. High fever. Bypass the waiting room, now. A nurse looked up, annoyed, ready to point to the clipboard. Then she saw the woman. She saw the look in her eyes. And she saw the father running in behind her with a limp child. The nurse hit the panic button. Code blue, intake 2. Ethan rushed past Victoria. As the crash team surrounded Mia, pulling her onto a gurney, hooking up monitors, shouting vitals, Ethan was pushed back by a wall of scrubs. He stood there, panting, his hands empty. He looked back. Victoria was standing alone by the automatic doors. She was shivering. She was holding her laptop like a shield. She watched the doctors work on the child she didn't know, and for a moment, the mask was completely gone. She looked terrified. Not for her stock price, but for the fragility of a life she had just helped carry. 4M. The crisis had shifted geography. Mia was stable, admitted to a private recovery room upstairs, a room Victoria had secured with a single phone call. But hospital policy was strict. Visiting hours were over for non-parents, and the Wi-Fi was unsecured. They needed a clean line. They were back in Ethan's kitchen. 3 laptops were daisy-chained together. Fiber optic cables snaked across the linoleum floor. A pot of coffee was bubbling aggressively on the stove. Ethan sat at the main rig, his fingers flying. Victoria sat on a wobbly wooden stool across from him, holding a mug that said, "World's okayest dad, drinking instant coffee." "This wasn't an external hack," Ethan said, his voice low. He highlighted a block of code on the central screen. "Look at the latency logs, 0 milliseconds. The command was executed locally. Inside the building?" Victoria frowned, leaning in. Her shoulder brushed against his arm. She didn't pull away. "Inside the C-suite," Ethan corrected. The script bypassed the 2FA because it was initiated from a device that was already whitelisted. A trusted device. Victoria went pale. "Who was on that whitelist besides me?" "The CIO, the CTO, and the chairman of the audit committee." "Richard Crowley?" Victoria whispered. The name landed on the table like a dead weight. "He's been pushing for a breakup of the company for years. He told the board the acquisition was too risky. He's not just betting against the deal," Ethan said. "He opened a cached version of a trading forum. He's betting against you. Look at the timestamp of the script execution. 2:02 a.m. My phone records?" Victoria pulled out her phone. "I got the alert at 2:03 a.m. Exactly. But look at this." Ethan navigated to a shadow copy of the corporate email server. He pulled up a flagged notification. At 1:55 a.m., 7 minutes before the attack, a sell order was placed for 50,000 shares of Northbridge stock options. Puts, betting on a crash. Victoria stared at the screen. "That's impossible. We have blackout periods." "The order didn't come from his corporate account," Ethan explained. "It came from an account linked to a shell company in the Caymans. But look at the IP address of the trade." He zoomed in. IP 104.22.18.5 location, Four Seasons Hotel, Chicago, guest Wi-Fi. "Crowley is staying at the Four Seasons while his penthouse is being renovated," Victoria said, her voice turning to ice. "I approved the expense report yesterday." "He knew the crash was coming," Ethan said, looking at her. "Because he pushed the button. He shorted the stock, then he triggered the wipe using your account to frame me. He gets rich, you get fired, I go to jail, and the company gets sold for parts." Victoria sat back. She looked at the drawings on the fridge, Mia's stick figures of a family that was missing a mother. She looked at Ethan, this man she had treated as a line item in a budget for 5 years. "He missed one thing," Ethan said softly. "What?" "He used the guest Wi-Fi," Ethan smiled. It was a tired, dangerous smile. "Guest networks are porous. If he was on the hotel Wi-Fi when he executed the command, the hotel network logged his device fingerprint. I can prove it was his laptop. You can trace it back to his specific machine? I can match the digital fingerprint of the trade to the digital fingerprint of the hack." "It's a smoking gun, Victoria." For a moment, the silence wasn't heavy. It was electric. A current passed between them. Victoria looked at him, really looked at him. She saw the intelligence behind the exhaustion. "You're good," she whispered. "I know," Ethan said. "That's why you hired me." The moment was intimate, fragile. It was broken by the vibration of Victoria's phone on the table. A news alert, then another, then a flood. Victoria picked up the phone. The color drained from her face instantly. She looked sick. "Ethan," she said, her voice trembling. "Don't look at the news." Ethan grabbed his own phone. A push notification from the Daily Capital. Breaking. Northbridge CEO caught in scandal. Secret affair with saboteur engineer linked to data wipe. Below the headline was a photo. It was grainy, taken from a long lens. It showed Victoria entering Ethan's house in the middle of the night. It showed them in the hallway, close together. It looked intimate. It stripped away the context of the sick child and the crisis, leaving only the tawdry implication of sin. "He didn't just plan the hack," Victoria said, dropping the phone. "He had the story written and ready to publish. He knew I'd come to you. He weaponized my rescue." The narrative detonated. By 6 a.m., the story wasn't about code or finance. It was about morality. Social media was on fire. Twitter was trending with hashtag #NORTHBRIDGE scandal. In the kitchen, the mood had shifted from triumph to siege. The coffee was cold. The air was thick with defeat. "The board is convening at 8 a.m., Victoria said, pacing the small linoleum floor. Her heels clicked rhythmically. "Crowley has called for a vote of no confidence. He's citing the morality clause in my contract. If I step down, he takes interim control. He'll accept the glitch as your fault, fire you to appease regulators, and cancel the acquisition." She stopped pacing and looked at Ethan. "You need to leave," she said. "Take Mia. Go to your sisters in Ohio. I'll issue a statement saying I fired you for negligence. It clears you of the sabotage charge. I take the fall for the management failure." Ethan stood up slowly. "You're going to lie?" "I'm going to protect the asset. That's what I do." Victoria shouted, her composure cracking. "I can't win this, Ethan. It's not a legal battle anymore. It's a witch hunt. They have photos. Walking into that boardroom with technical logs won't save me if they've already decided I'm guilty." Ethan stepped closer. He didn't back down. "No," he said firmly. "You're doing what you always do. You're trying to control the damage by isolating yourself. You think if you sacrifice yourself, you win. But you don't. You just let him win. I don't have a choice." "You do." Ethan grabbed her shoulders. It was a shock. "No one touched Victoria Hawley. You saw my daughter tonight. You saw what actually matters. Does this matter? Does the truth matter? Or are you just going to let a thief steal the company you built because you're afraid of a bad headline?" Victoria stared at him. Her chest was heaving. Her eyes were wide, searching his face. "He has the board in his pocket," she whispered. "Then we break his pocket," Ethan said. "We don't go in there defending ourselves. We go in prosecuting. We don't talk about the affair. We talk about the math. We connect the sell order to the crash command in front of everyone. We don't need to convince the press, Victoria. We just need to scare the general counsel." He let go of her shoulders. He grabbed the flash drive containing the evidence. "I'm not the engineer anymore. And you're not the CEO. We are witnesses to a crime. Are you coming?" Victoria looked at the door, then at Ethan. She took a deep breath, smoothing her wrinkled blouse. She ran a hand through her hair, pulling it back. The steel returned to her spine, but her eyes were different. They were burning. "My driver is outside," she said. "Do you have a suit?" Ethan looked down at his hoodie. "No." Victoria's lips curved into a small, fierce smirk. "Good. You look more honest without one." The Northbridge boardroom was a mausoleum of mahogany and glass, suspended 40 stories above the Chicago skyline. The view was breathtaking, but no one was looking out the windows. 12 board members sat in silence. At the head of the table, Richard Crowley sat with the relaxed confidence of a man who had already counted his winnings. "It is with a heavy heart," Crowley began, his voice smooth, practiced. "That I moved to remove Victoria Hawley for gross misconduct and breach of fiduciary duty. The evidence of her illicit relationship and the subsequent cover-up is irrefutable. We must act swiftly to restore market confidence." He paused for effect. "I ask for a show of hands. All in favor of termination?" Hands started to rise. Tentative at first, then firmer. 1, 3, 5. The heavy double doors at the end of the room were pushed. Hard. Victoria walked in. She wasn't wearing the armor of a fresh suit. She was wearing the same clothes from the night before, slightly rumpled. But she walked with a kinetic energy that sucked the air out of the room. Ethan walked a step behind her. He carried nothing but a battered laptop. "I wasn't aware my personal life was on the agenda, Richard," Victoria said. Her voice wasn't loud, but it echoed off the glass walls. Crowley stood up, his face flushing. "Security! Remove them. This is a closed session." "Sit down, Richard," Victoria said. She didn't shout. She commanded. She walked straight to the head of the table, standing right next to him until he awkwardly sank back into his chair. "This man is a saboteur." Crowley pointed a shaking finger at Ethan. "He compromised our systems. He is the reason the stock is down." "No," Victoria said, turning to the board. "He secured them. From you." Ethan didn't speak. He plugged the laptop into the main presentation console. The massive screen behind them flickered to life. It showed 2 timelines. Top, the system logs. Bottom, the global trading exchange. "What we are looking at," Victoria said, "is not a lover's quarrel. It is a digital fingerprint." Ethan hit a key. The timelines merged. At 1:55 a.m., a sell order executes for 50,000 puts, Ethan explained. His voice was calm, technical, the voice of the expert in the room. At 2:02 a.m., the command to wipe the logs is sent. Notice the IP address. It's not mine. It's not Victoria's. Ethan brought up a third window. A network map. It originated from the guest Wi-Fi network at the Four Seasons Hotel, Ethan said. He looked directly at Crowley. "Room 404, the presidential suite." The room went deadly quiet. The board members turned their heads in unison toward Crowley. This is fabricated," Crowley stammered. Sweat was beading on his forehead. "IPs can be spoofed." "You can't prove." "We verified the MAC address against the device you are holding in your hand right now, Richard," Ethan lied. It was a bluff. A calculated, poker-faced bluff. "Do you want me to ping it? Or do you want to hand it over to the FBI yourself?" Crowley's hand instinctively covered his phone on the table. It was a tell. A massive, screaming tell. Victoria slid a thick manila folder across the polished table toward Eleanor, the general counsel. This folder contains the raw logs, the time-stamped trade confirmations, and a sworn affidavit from my chief architect regarding the malware injection. If you vote to remove me, this folder goes to the Department of Justice within the hour. Eleanor opened the folder. She adjusted her glasses. She read the first page, then the second. She looked up at Crowley. The look was not friendly. "Mr. Crowley," the lawyer said, her voice dry and devoid of emotion, "I would advise you not to leave the building. We are initiating an internal freeze on your assets pending a formal audit." Crowley slumped. He looked small. The arrogance evaporated, leaving only a frightened man in an expensive suit. Victoria didn't smile. She didn't cheer. She just looked down the table at Ethan. Amidst the chaos of the board members shouting questions, amidst the legal panic, they shared a quiet moment. Acknowledgement, respect. They hadn't just saved the company. They had rewritten the code. The meeting lasted 4 hours. By the time it ended, the police had arrived quietly through the service elevator to escort Richard Crowley out for questioning regarding securities fraud. Victoria walked out of the building into the lobby. A sea of reporters was waiting, hungry for the scandal. She stepped up to the podium. Ethan stood off to the side in the shadows where he preferred to be. "The rumors regarding Northbridge are false," Victoria said into the microphones. "There was an attempted security breach. It was identified and neutralized by our lead engineer, Ethan Parker. He is not a saboteur. He is the reason this company is still standing. And regarding my personal life," she paused. The cameras clicked furiously. "My personal life is none of your business. But I will say this. Last night, I learned that leadership isn't about being invulnerable. It's about knowing who to trust when the system fails." She walked away. No questions. Later, in the parking garage, away from the cameras, Ethan was leaning against the black SUV. Victoria walked up to him. The adrenaline was fading, leaving a heavy, comfortable exhaustion. "You lied about the MAC address," she said, a small smile playing on her lips. "I social engineered him," Ethan shrugged. "Hack the human, not the machine. You saved my career, Ethan. You saved my daughter, Victoria." They stood there. The distance was gone. The boss and the employee were gone. "What happens now?" Ethan asked. "Now?" Victoria looked at her watch. "Now, I believe I owe you a terrifying amount of overtime pay. And I need to learn how to cook." "Cook? I can't show up to your house to check on Mia empty-handed," she said softly. "And I suspect you're tired of pizza." Ethan laughed. It was a real laugh, one that reached his eyes. "I make a decent lasagna," he said. Victoria stepped closer. She reached out and took his hand. Her grip was firm, warm. "Then teach me," she said. She didn't kiss him, not yet. It wasn't a movie. It was real life. She squeezed his hand, a promise of something slower, something built to last. The summer sun was setting over Chicago, casting long golden shadows across Ethan's backyard. The snow was a memory. The smell of charcoal and grilling burgers filled the air. Ethan flipped a burger, laughing as Mia ran through the sprinkler, screaming with delight. She was healthy, vibrant, the color back in her cheeks. The back door opened. Victoria walked out. She wasn't wearing a suit. She was wearing jeans and a simple white t-shirt. She looked younger, softer. She was carrying a bowl of potato salad that she had definitely bought from a gourmet deli but plated herself. She walked up to the grill, bumping her hip against Ethan's. "How's the consultation contract going?" she asked. "Terrible," Ethan grinned. "The new CEO is very demanding. She keeps insisting I take weekends off." "She sounds smart," Victoria smiled, taking a sip of lemonade. "Northbridge is stable. The acquisition closed. The culture is." "Breathing again? And Crowley?" "Sentencing is next week. They're expecting 5 to 10. Mia ran up to them, dripping wet, holding a piece of paper that was damp at the edges. "Look," she shouted. "It's for school, my family team." She held up the drawing. It showed 3 stick figures, one tall one with a spatula, one small one with pigtails, and one with long dark hair holding a laptop and a heart. Victoria stared at the drawing. Her throat worked. She looked at Mia, then crouched down, ignoring the damp grass on her jeans. "It's beautiful, Mia," she said, her voice thick. "You're in the middle," Mia pointed. "Because you fixed the scary stuff." Ethan watched them, the 2 women in his life. The emptiness that had defined him for 2 years was gone, replaced by a noisy, complicated, messy fullness. His phone buzzed on the patio table. A work notification. Urgent priority. Server alert. Minor latency detected. Ethan looked at it. He looked at Victoria, who was wiping mud off Mia's cheek. He looked at the burger that was about to burn. He reached over, picked up the phone, and flipped its screen down on the table. "Let it wait," he said. Victoria stood up and caught his eye. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Perfect," Ethan said. He reached out, taking her hand, a gesture that was no longer tentative, no longer a secret. "Dinner is ready." As the sun dipped below the fence line, the three of them sat at the picnic table. No cameras, no headlines, no code to compile. Just the truth of a life rebuilt, one meal at a time. We spend our lives building firewalls to keep the world out, convinced that invulnerability is the only safety. But Ethan Parker learned that the strongest fortress isn't built of code, it's built of the people who show up when the walls come down. Life is not a problem to be solved. It's a connection to be made. If this story moved you, click the like button and subscribe for more narratives about the human side of the machine.